What's up, everybody, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Brad, if you don't know who I am already, and today we've got an army builder of the new Drukhari Codex. That is right. Let's cross our fingers I don't get any of the information wrong or anything like that. So if I do, just let me know in the comments. But if you like this type of content, we're going to be doing a lot more of it. This is just one list and one play style. I'm going to be doing a couple lists over the next few weeks of the new codex so that you can see different play styles and different army compositions. This is one that I personally really like, and this is kind of what I would probably start off playing with based on my play style and how I like to play 40k. So let's dive right into it. Let's start off with the name of the list. I'm calling it The Fast in the Flesh. It's because it's a very fast list, and it's got a lot of Wracks. So it's got a lot of artists of the flesh. So yeah, that's why I'm naming it that. Why not? Let's get into this. So when I was making this list, I wanted to start off with the battalion. I wanted to do the real space raid detachment. I think it's a very cool thing with this codex, and I just wanted to start with that. There is a lot of other ways to build lists. It's basically, I think you're going to do a real space raid, or you're going to do 3 patrols. Because typically what you're going to want to fit in there is going to be amongst 3 patrols. You could try to do 2 and squeeze it in there, but I think 2 ways you're typically going to look to go is going to be a battalion and a patrol, just a battalion, or 3 patrols. So with the real space raid, I have to have an Archon, I have to have a Homunculus, I have to have a Succubus. So we're going to start off with those 3 things. We're going to be doing Blackheart for the Archon, and basically, so the Kabalites are going to be that, the Incubi are going to be that, the Mandrakes are going to be that, the Raiders are going to be that, and that's because I really want the advance and charge on turn 1. And then, like, that's just super good, right? And then the Incubi, they have the power for pain, which is amazing, right? And so then they're going to get a 5-up invuln faster, which is really cool for Incubi. So like now on turn 3, they have 5-up invulns. That's really cool. We'll talk more about that later. So then the Homunculus is going to be Artist of the Flesh. So the reason I'm going with this is I think the -1 to damage is really strong. And it's better than like the transhuman for strength 8 and up. There's not enough strength 8 weapons that are going to really be shooting at you. So I'd rather take -1 damage with how much flat 2 damage stuff there is because of their 5-up feel no pain. It's just going to make you be able to stay alive longer. And then we've got the Succubus, and it's going to be Cult of Strife. Cult of Strife is like the must go to. There is so many cool stratagems, so many cool traits, so many cool everything you can do with Cult of Strife. I will never look to really do anything else except for that right now. Maybe there's certain list combinations that you would want to do that, look at something else, but like I think this is the main thing you're going to want to be kind of honing in on and learning right now. Then we've got 5 Kabalites, we've got 10 Wracks, and those are going to be upgraded Wracks, so they're going to be your super Wracks. And then I'm going to have 2 more squads of 5 Wracks in there, squad of 5 Wyches. Everything's just base on them. Then I've got a squad of 10 Incubi, 2 squads of 5 Incubi, 2 squads of 5 Mandrakes, 18 Hellions, 2 squads of 3 Reavers, no upgrades or anything. And then I got 2 Raiders with a Shock Prow and Dark Lance, and then 2 Raiders with just a Dark Lance. We'll talk about why I put the Shock Prow on 2 of those later. And then we've got a patrol of just the Artists of the Flesh, and that's going to be led by Drazar himself. He's a beast mode, like he is going to be in almost every single list, probably every list. Because he's just that good. And then you've got 2 more 5-man Wracks. And then I am paying to give a Warlord trait. So the Archon is going to be your base Warlord. And then I'm paying 1 CP to give the Homunculus and the Succubus Warlord trait. So because of the real space raid detachment, instead of spending a CP to do it for every single one, you can just spend 1 CP and you get both of them, which is really cool. And then I'm spending 2 CP for extra relics. That's something that you really could go back and forth on if you want to use these and whatever, but I think with my playstyle and how I want to play, I want the Succubus to have a relic, I want the Homunculus to have a relic, and I want the Archon to have a relic. So I'm going to be spending for all the relics. I'm going to start off with 7 CP, kind of a big CP spend, so there's definitely ways to get that down and start off with more CP, but it's okay. We'll see how it goes. All right, now let's get into the units themselves. We're going to break down every single unit, why I'm taking them, how they fit into the army, and everything like that. So let's start off with Drazhar. So he is just a beat stick, right? So he's not core, though. So he's not going to benefit from any rerolls. So any rerolls from the Archon or anything like that, he's not going to be rerolling ones to hit. He's not going to be rerolling ones to wound. Now, if you want to, you could take him, as your warlord, and you can not do a real space raid detachment. You can put him as your warlord, and he can do the rerolls for himself. So if you want him to be a very, very core piece, no pun intended, then you could do that and give him his own warlord trait. With this setup, I'm not able to give him a warlord trait because you cannot use that stratagem on named characters. One thing that's really cool with him is being able to make people fight last, basically. So you pick a unit that you're in engagement range, the start of the fight phase. So you charge in, boom, I pick a unit. I'm going to roll 2d6 against your leadership, and I'm going to beat your leadership. And now you ain't fighting, you ain't interrupting, no thank you. So this gives them this great ability to just be fighting first all the time. And what's even cooler is there's a lot of ways in the Drukhari codexes to make enemy units minus in leadership. So if you really want to compound on this and you want to take a lot of these other ways to do minus leadership to people, you can take a unit that's leadership 8 and bring them down to, 5. So now you're beating a 5 on 2d6, and you're just compounding these rules now between Drazar and all the Incubi. You're like, hey, I'm punching with everything. You're not going to be able to interrupt. It's also a really good counter to the Death Guard and like their fight last or Justicars and stuff like that. So like you start to have these interactions where you're not just gonna have your units not fighting. There's more back and forth and everything like that. So really, really good ability. He's just -1 to damage natively, right? Like, so any of the flat 2 damage stuff that is going to be shot at him, hopefully he's not getting shot that much though. But then even in combat, he's just, that flat 2 goes to 1. So it's really, really good. He activates the fight twice. So this is a little bit of a change. So he doesn't just fight at the end of the fight phase. He doesn't just fight twice in a row. You have to activate him twice. So if he charges in and he fights, he can fight again as a charge, but you could get interrupted. But hey, you might have just made them fight last, which is really good. So they're not going to interrupt you. So you can activate him in whatever sequence you want with all your other units. A little bit of a nerf, but it's still good. It's still good. Don't get me wrong. And then he's going to have the aura for the +1 to wound for all Incubi, and this does include himself. So a lot of people go and they say, hey, they're going to be wounding on 2s. Well, it really just depends on the toughness of the other models, so let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? Like you're wounding on 2s sometimes. Anything that is T4 or below, you're wounding on 2s. Anything that is T5, you're wounding on 3s. Anything that is above T5, you're wounding on 4s with the +1. So it's still good, but like you're not getting full rerolls or anything, so it's a hit or a miss. So you got to kind of go for a little bit more of the squishy units with them to really take advantage of wounding better. Now we go into Archon himself. So he's our base warlord in the real space raid detachment. He's going to be the Cabal of the Black Hearts, which is really cool. I like it because it gives you +1 to power for your pain, which is really good for a lot of units. And then it's going to also give +1 leadership. So like for like the 10-man Incubi, that's really good to help them stay around longer. And then the Incubi and Mandrakes obviously gain this. So it doesn't affect the Mandrakes too much. The turn 1 advance and charge is actually really good with the Mandrakes because they can forward deploy. So we'll talk about that once we get to the Mandrakes themselves, but just keep that in the back of your mind as we start going through this. And then he's going to be taking the upgraded Warlord trait, the Raid Mastermind. So when you're a real space raid detachment, you can take this Warlord trait, and it's going to be rerolling hits of 1 for all real space raid detachments. So he's just got this native aura, and it's going to be rerolling everything of the real space raid detachment. So yeah, that's good. So like Wyches can benefit from it, Kabalites can benefit, Incubi can benefit from it, Mandrakes can benefit from it, Hellions can benefit from it. But anything that's core, it's really good. And then his Relic is going to be Rite of the Living Muse, which is going to be rerolling wounds of 1. So this is really good because you can put him with the Incubi, And now they are essentially hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, wounding on 2s, sometimes rerolling 1s. So the Archon is going to be up in your face. He's definitely going to be up in your face. And he is an upgraded Archon as well. Why I took him as an upgraded Archon, I don't really know. He can fight twice in the fight phase one time. So like because he's going to be up in your face, he can punch you twice, which is cool. Like he's got a flat 2 damage weapon. It's not anything to laugh at. And he's got enough attacks. So like, yeah, throwing out 10 attacks in a single fight phase because I know he's going to be up in your face. Why not? He's got a blast pistol. I had some extra points. But other than that, I don't really have a reason to make him upgraded Archon. If you do need to save the points or anything anywhere else, you could definitely do without that, I think, unless you're going to upgrade Kabalites and stuff. But we're not doing that. So yes, that is why he's the Splintered Genius. And yeah, he just makes the Incubi even better. And how I kind of play him in the list is he is going to ride along in the Raiders. So these Raiders are going to be my attack boats. He's going to be in there. He is going to be getting out with the Incubi. He is going to be charging in face first with the Incubi and with Drazhar and with the Succubus. This is a very in-your-face style list. So now we've got the Homunculus. A lot of people might just say that they don't want to spend the points and have the tax of the Homunculus and stuff like that, but like there's some really good things about him, and so my list is kind of played around him as well. He will also be in a transport going up to the front line, because what he's going to do is he is going to come out with the Wracks. The idea is that there's Incubi in some of the transports and Wracks in some of the transports, and he's going to come out and keep the Wracks alive. So they're all artists to the flesh, which is -1 damage, which is really good. He's going to be upgraded. And the reason for that is because I wanted to take a squad of super Wracks, and we'll get into what that means. And then he's got a really good Warlord trait in Relic, like Twisted Animator, right? So bringing back Wracks. This is the Relic. So within 3 inches of Wracks, he brings back D3 Wracks. And this is at every command phase. So Wracks are going to be a little hard to kill. It's debatable if they're harder or easier than before, but you can bring them back now. So like a souped up 10-man squad of Wracks has all these other native buffs. Now keep coming back to life if you don't kill them. So you really have to just like kill the Wrack units. Then turning off auras. Let's talk about this Poisoner's Ampule. So there's 3 different things you can do with this Warlord trait. Once a game, you can it's a 9-inch area. So let's start with that. So 9 inches from you, you can say, hey, this unit takes D3 mortal wounds. You gotta roll 2 up though. So like really never gonna use that. The stronger ones, right? Here's the stronger ones. You pick a unit and you say all of your auras are turned off for this turn. So let's use an example of a Space Marine character that is giving the entire army a 5-up invuln save, and that makes it harder for you to kill them. Well, you can just get this guy up there and say, you no longer have a 5-up invuln, then you strike with everything in your army and you just kill a lot more stuff. You can also target a specific unit. So let's say there is a unit that you just don't want to be having rerolls, or you don't want them to have an invuln, or you don't want them to have something. You can say, hey, I want to make sure I kill this unit. I don't want them to have an invuln or feel no pain or anything like that. I think that's super good against like an attack bike squad, or a big eradicator squad, or a 10-man intercessor squad. If you want to just make sure that that squad dies, and if they don't die, they don't benefit from anything else the next turn, that's another really good way to do it. But I think I will target mostly for this turning off invuln auras, turning off auras that affect me, like the Death Guard Fight Last, the Death Guard, slowing you down with your movement and stuff like that. Just turning all of that off now makes you a lot more viable. So it's only a turn, but you can set yourself up to do it on a turn where you take huge advantage of it. So I think it's really, really strong, and I like him in the list a lot because I have this raiding force flying forward in your face. He still gives the +1 toughness for Wracks. So Wracks being T5 are still really good. Succubus. All right, there's a lot of ways to build a Succubus, and this is going to be a lot to digest on this slide itself. This is how I am taking the Succubus. There's actually a couple other ways which we'll see in other lists. I will build the Succubus different in each list I do, so you can see the other kind of couple ways that I would decide between building her. I'm still torn. I'm still torn. You can tell I'm still torn. I don't know which one I actually like, so I've got to play and see which ones I actually like and which combinations are better. So she is going to be upgraded. She is a show stealer. The main reason for this is to consolidate an extra 3 inches in any direction. So that gives you a 6-inch consolidate in any direction. You don't have to go closer to the enemy model, which is really, really good. Jump in, you punch for all your attacks, you jump out. In any direction you want. You jump in, you tag something else because you know that they're not going to kill you like a vehicle. So there's a lot of things that you can do with being able to move after you hit in an action. Really, really good. So Cult of Strife, like I said, just this is amazing. So the stratagems that you have access to are amazing. You got +1 to charge if it's basically the first target that you're charging. So this is really good for like your Hellions when they're leading the charge. It's really good for even just the Succubus, if you're throwing the first one in or something like that. And then they fight first. So yeah, why not? Make more stuff in your army fight first. Engagement range. So it's really good. Allows you to get more punches in with more things before the enemy does. So how we are taking this Succubus is we're going to do precision blows. So this is really, really cool, and this is really neat. So it's going to do mortals equal to the damage of the weapon on hits of a 6. So the weapon that we're taking is the Triptych Whip, which is going to be flat 2 damage. So that means on all of your hits of 6, you're just going to do flat 2 mortal wounds instead of any damage. That could just obliterate stuff in a lot of cases. So it's a little swingy, I'm sure, but you have a lot of dice that you're rolling, so I would assume that you're going to get anywhere from 1 to 3 6s most of the time, if math likes you. And then the Triptych Whip, this is so that you can get the flat 2 damage, but it's also giving you 3 more attacks, and it's poison 2. So she's has the aura of rerolling 1s to wound, which is really good. Like wounding on 2s is just amazing. So you're going to be wounding on 2s. You have 3 more attacks, and it's flat 2 damage. So now look how many attacks you can get. You've got 6 at base. Combat drugs. So typically what you're going to want to do is you're just going to play it safe, and you're going to want to give her just +1 attack for combat drugs. Rolling 2 dice and then not getting the +1 attack is a little risky. But if you feel like you want to do that, then do it. But I'm typically going to say, hey, +1 attack there. Then you're getting +3 for the Relic, and then you can use a strat to double your combat drugs. So the strat to double your combat drugs probably is not as worth it unless you do the 2 dice, because it's 2 CP. So like, but for 1 attack, is it worth it? Probably not most of the times with a single character. But if you really wanted to get more attacks and try to do the mortal wounds, you can do this. So yeah, just a really good beat stick, cheap in points. See how she plays. Normal Kabalite and Wyches. They're just basic units. I'm not even taking nets or anything on the Wyches. I got nothing on them. They're literally just there to stand in the backfield, board block, and control objectives. You can build these in a lot of different ways to benefit from them in different lists and different formations. So we will see that kind of stuff in some of the other lists. Wracks. So I was experimenting a lot with Wracks before the updates when it's like, oh, they're 20-man squads, and you might have seen that in a lot of the tournaments and stuff like that, and you can bring them back for 2 CP. Super strong and super annoying to deal with. So now you can definitely take them up to 20-man squads. That was a big debacle. However, I'm not taking any 20-man squads because the resilience is not as high as it needs to be to have squads that big. So you got your 10-man super Wracks. I would try to pronounce what those are called. I'm not even going to attempt to, though. So what's really cool about these is they basically have a better version of the Space Marine Helix, if you know what that is. And they're going to ignore the first failed save each phase. So the Space Marines get it each turn. This is phase. So shooting, combat. Woo! That's good. That's real good. That makes them super, super survivable because, and it's a failed save. It's not a dice, right? So it's like, okay, I roll. This one goes away, and you know, okay, 3 go through. Now I get 5 up feel no pains. Heck yeah. And they're -1 to damage. So they're -1 to damage. They ignore the first failed save each phase. They have a native 6-up invuln, which would go to a 5-up invuln because they're super Wracks. And they can be brought back by the Homunculus. So they're just 10 guys that are very durable. Very, very durable. And then the rest of them, all the smaller squads, they're really throwaway units. They are going to come out of vehicles. They're going to jump on objectives, and they're either going to live or die. And if they live, then a Homunculus will hopefully bring the rest of them back, and then you have a full squad to deal with. So that's kind of what they're used for. They're my forward objective jumping boys. Incubi. I don't know that you can build a list without these guys in it. I will try very, very hard to build a list that is more shooting based, that doesn't have these guys in it, but they're in this. So because they are part of the real space raid detachment, they will benefit from the Cabal of the Blackheart, which is amazing. So they will get the +1 for the power of pain. So turn 1, they can advance and charge. Turn 3, they've got a 5-up invuln. So now their durability and their survivability is better. And especially because that the way that these guys are usually going to engage, I'm typically not going to be in engagements turn 1. So that doesn't really matter. They're going to be in vehicles. But if you're playing against a super aggressive army or somebody that forward deployed, maybe you do want to come out of that vehicle, move, advance, and charge. You know, being in the vehicle gives you 3 extra inches of movement. Now you're able to advance and charge and everything. So it makes that threat of them all the way to that mid board like real on turn 1. So your opponent really has to make those decisions if they want to get punched turn 1 by all the Incubi or not. Typically, though, they're going to stay in the transports turn 1. We're going to move the transports up into spots that then turn 2 we can do a full-on assault, and we can come out of the transports, we can move, advance, and charge on turn 2, and then we're going to punch everybody and stuff like that. And then that next turn, you're going to have a 5-up invuln. So now the Incubi are standing there. They have a 5-up invuln. And it's actually, this list is actually way better if you go second, because you allow your opponent to move towards you. You can play a little cagey. You can try to soak up as many shots as you can and stay out of line of sight. And then because you move so fast with everything, going into turn 2 or turn 3, you can jump out of that booth. And if you go second, you jump out on turn 2. Then your next turn, where those Incubi are vulnerable to getting shot or getting attacked, they have a 5-up invuln. So you can play this to where they don't even need to see action until they have a 5-up invuln, because then hitting your opponent at the end of turn 2 and then turn 3 with them, you're going to do a lot of damage. So this is a list that is very mid to late game. It is not a early turn 1 full force, but it can be. It has the threat. The threat is there. So because they're going to benefit from everything, they're going to be re-rolling 1s to hit. They're going to be re-rolling 1s to wound, which is really good. They're going to get the +1 to wound from Drazar. 6s do flat 3 damage. So their weapons are now flat 2 damage. They go to flat 3 damage on 6s. That's really, really good. 6s to wound. They have the same exact fight last as Drazar. So you're going to pick an enemy. You're going to say, hey, 2d6, beat your leadership. Fighting last, boy. And so you've got now 4 squads in this army that can do that. It's amazing. But they're really, really killing units. Like, they're going to run in there with a lot of attacks. They've got 3 attacks each. The Sarge has 4. You can do extra attacks with the dual blade. Want to. So yeah, I mean, they got a lot going for them. I really, really like them. I think 20 of them punching you in a turn with Drazar, with the Succubus, with Archon, all hitting in a single turn is going to be a lot for any army to muster. The changes on Mandrakes are phenomenal. So when I was making these lists, I was like, man, any Eldar list I make, I'm going to have to figure out how to fit Mandrakes in it. I might just have to take an auxiliary of them and spend the CP. I might have to take a patrol, so that I can take a couple Mandrake squads, because the forward deploy is so good. Like, we lost it in our Rangers for Craft Worlds, and now we have a unit that can forward deploy again. What that means is you don't get bullied by these Nurgle lists. You don't get bullied by these Space Marine lists, and just they're on every objective, and then you're forced to go kill them off the objectives, right? You can do the exact same thing. You can say, hey, this half of the board is mine, that you can forward deploy on that half of the board. Because forward deployment's really big. And not only can they forward deploy, but they can then go into deep strike after that. So turn 1, you can forward deploy, and there's 2 things I would do here with them. If I have deploy scramble, well, there's more than 2 things. So you can either forward deploy both of them in forward quarters, and you have an automatic full point on engage on all fronts if you want to take that as a secondary. And then you can just be like, all right, I don't have to be super aggressive with anything else. I can play more KG. I can set up these transports. I could set up these Hellions and these Reavers in a way where I don't have to throw them away. So now turn 1, you don't have to throw any of your better stuff away. You can say, here's 2 squads of Mandrakes. I'm going to get engaged. I'm going to be on these objectives. And now they have to come get you, right? They have to come kill you off of those objectives. Because like, if they don't, then you're going to just get 15 on the primary, like without even trying. So they have to come kill you off these objectives. You have a 5-up invul and you have a 5-up feel no pain. Like, they're not just going to die super easy and super fast. So there's 2 things you can do there. And you can even go one step further and you can say, hey, forward deploy, get engaged. One of the squads does scramblers in the middle of the board. So now you can get your first scramblers in the middle of the board. You can forward deploy, you can be on objectives, you can get engaged. There's a lot that they can do. And if you go first and you don't want to do any of that, or you want to keep one in midboard on an objective and do deploy, the other one you just take them out to deep strike. And that's typically what I would probably try to do. Leave one on the board, take one away. Because then you want that guy to come down later to help you get engaged or help you get deploy scramblers. Because this is really the only unit in this list that's going to be able to get deploy scramblers in the enemy's deployment zone by deep striking it. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to walk your Wracks across the table and stuff like that. So typically, I would keep one on the board, pick one up off the board. But there's definitely going to be situations where you don't care about that and you just want to be like, hey, I'm here, deal with me. And they also benefit from the turn 1 advance and charge. So what that means is you can start 9 inches away from an enemy. You can have one of these units deploy scramblers. You can have the other unit just say, hey, what do I need to go touch? What is, am I going to live in combat, and what can I go touch, right? Now you go touch something and you put a big unit of something just out of play or out of movement or anything like that. Or you throw all of these up to just prevent them from moving, right? You just charge them all and you just say, hey, hopefully I'm going to live. Yeah, like you're 9 inches away, you're going to move, you're going to advance, and you're going to charge. Like, the threat range of that, of going wherever you want, is incredible. You know, there's certain situations where you're going to be able to get like onto their back objective turn 1 with these guys and, you know, maybe kill a small squad even. Their shooting is assault, so like you're going to be able to shoot, you do mortal wounds. Like, they're nothing to laugh at. They actually have good shooting, they have decent combat and everything like that. So these units are absolutely phenomenal, and there's so many different ways you can play them. The threat potential from them is unbelievable. So Reavers, remember when they were 10 points? Yeah, well, they're not anymore. They're 20 points now. And they're still really good, though. So what's really cool is they basically have a 26-inch base movement, right? They have a base 18-inch movement, and then they advance an auto 8. That's real good. So they're going to move 26 inches on turn 1. They're not going to be able to advance and charge or anything, but that's a lot of movement. So they can go anywhere on the board that you need them to go, but turn 2 being able to advance and charge. So like, this unit is definitely a unit where you move them 18 inches wherever you need to start to move up, and then like you have the whole board threat potential to advance and charge, or to go sit all the way in a back corner and just soak up engage, to go kill a small unit on an objective. There's a lot of things that they can do. They're just going to jump around and they're just going to be annoying, and your opponent has to deal with them. You can also give them combat drugs to have more movement, right? So give them more movement. Do you really need it with them? Probably not, but I don't know that you care about the attacks on them, but I think what you do care about is the toughness. This is a model where I think making them T5 makes them really hard to kill, because now all that bolter fire that's coming into them, they're wounding you on 5s. So it makes you just way harder to kill. So it's really good. And now that lightning fast reflexes, whatever it changed to the name, it's only 1 CP. Making them -1 to hit might not be the worst thing. -1 to hit, T5, might keep one guy alive to just be annoying, even depending on how many shots they put in you. They're also very small footprints. So you could hide behind boxes and walls very easily. So it's a good unit to just be annoying, jump around, help you get objectives, try to take them off back objectives and things like that. If you really want them to have a little bit more punch potential, you can put a heal units on them. The problem with that is they are heavy. So like you're going to be hitting on 4s then, and you're never going to really be able to advance and do anything. So I want to use them for advancing and charging. I want to use them for just being annoying. So I'm not taking any heavy weapons on them in this scenario. Hellions. Oh man, this is another unit that I don't know that I can make a list without Hellions. Now it's debatable on what size units you should be taking of Hellions. I'm sticking with 20 mans. It's 18 in this, but we're going to do the math of a 20 because it's a little bit cleaner to look at. So I did 18 because I needed a little bit more points elsewhere, and maybe if I didn't like upgrade the Archon or upgrade a couple other things, I could fit 2 more in here. So, you know, flesh it out however you want to. So let's talk about them really quick. They're 2 wounds. They got that 6-up invuln as a base. Really, really good. They're going to have +1 to their charge if it's the first unit. They're going to have +1 to their leadership, which may matter because they're a big squad. They've got a 14-inch base movement. So turn 1, you're going to basically be able to move them wherever you want to hide. And then turn 2, you're going to be able to advance and charge. So the threat range of them is insane. But what you really want to do is you want to fly over stuff. So you want to set them up turn 1 to where turn 2 you're going to be able to fly over something really important. Now, if your opponent's really aggressive and you can fly over something on turn 1 by just advancing, and then you know you're not going to be able to charge, it's fine. But you want to make sure you can kill something if you're going to do that. But most likely you're going to kind of be left out in the open then to be shot a lot and everything. So here's how I would use it. Turn 1, you BKG with them. You set them up for a turn 2 flyover. Turn 2, you fly over. You use the mortals on the flyover strat. So 2 CP, you're going to pick a unit. You're going to roll however many dice is in your unit. So we're going to say it's 20 dice. You're going to roll 20 dice. And if it's infantry that you picked, it's going to be 4-ups to a mortal wound. So basically, whatever you pick is pretty much dead, especially if you roll hot. Now, if it's a big 10-man with like multiple wounds, obviously you're not going to kill that full thing, but you're going to weaken them immensely. Now, what I would do with this, though, is I would be flying over a character that you don't want to deal with. This is an auto character kill right here. And if you pick Assassinate, this becomes insane because I think you will be able to do this very strong for 2 turns, and then your characters are going to be there, help clean stuff up on turn 2 and turn 3 as well. So if you do this on a turn and you pick like a 5-wound character, especially one that has an aura, like let's say Tigurius from Ultramarines, let's say an Apothecary from anything else, let's say a character that of Death Guard that has the bubble of fighting last and making you slower and everything like that. Like you just go and you delete this character that can bring guys back, that give them feel no pains, and you just take a huge chunk of how the opponent's army functions out of the way. You're going to roll enough mortal wounds to kill a character most of the time. If you don't, I'm sorry, but you just rolled terrible. So yes, it is worth 2 CP to delete a character. I most likely will not use this on a bigger unit. I will use it to confirm kill a character. So you fly over, confirm kill a character. Now you shoot, right? You go, okay, I got 40 shots. You're going to throw 40 shots at you. Like, that's a lot of shooting. Like, granted, they're probably not going to have any rerolls or anything right now, right? So, like, but we're Eldar. We don't need rerolls. Like, you're putting 40 shots into something else, right? So you fly over this character. Now you're by another character that maybe you can shoot Otherwise, you just start shooting a squad. You shoot something on a back objective, maybe, right? Kill it. You do damage. Maybe you kill something in shooting. Who knows? But that doesn't even matter because you're going to charge. Now, when you charge, there is a strat you can use for 1 CP to make it where they can't shoot Overwatch at you. That's amazing. So like you don't have to worry about this multiple Ultramarine or Salamanders or all the AdMech shooting at you. You can just be like, hey, I'm in this by myself. I fly over you. I mortal wound you. I shoot you. I charge you. You don't shoot me in Overwatch. And I got +1 to my charge because I'm the first unit charging in. Like, that's insane. Now let's talk about their combat phase. You can get them up to 100 attacks in combat. So there's 2 things with combat drugs with them that I will say. You can either guarantee yourself getting 1 more attack. This I think wholly depends on what army and what they need to do for that game. You can say, hey, I need +1 attack. So then everybody has a base 4 attacks, and the guy with the glaive has 5 attacks. So you have 5 attacks with flat 2 damage. That's pretty good. And then you can use the stratagem for 2 CP to double their combat drugs, right? So now they're going to go to 6 attacks. I'm sorry, they're going to go to 5 attacks. They're going to go from 3 to 4, 4 to 5 on the double. And then you have 6 attacks with the glaive. That's a lot of attacks, guys. That is a lot of attacks. So that's really, really good amount of attacks. Now, if you want to roll 2 dice, maybe you get lucky and you get the extra attack. But if you don't think you're going to need those 20 extra attacks, well, actually, it's more than 20 extra attacks, right? Because you're giving them +1 attack, which is 20, and then you can double it, which is 40. So you lose out on 40 attacks if you don't do that. If you think you need to make them T5 to make them more survivable, you can. But like honestly, I'm going with the guaranteed attacks. I'm not going to risk that. I want 40 extra attacks in combat because something is going to die from 100 attacks. Like hands down, you're going to kill something. Then what you want to do in this though is you don't want to pick like the hardest unit to kill. You want to pick a unit that you know you can kill. It doesn't have to be the squishiest. It doesn't have to be the hardest. Pick something middle of the road. Pick a 5-man Space Marine squad, right? For example. Because when you kill something in melee, use a stratagem, you give them a 4-up invulnerable save. Now you have uncontested 20 Hellions with 2 wounds each. That's 40 wounds with 4-up invulnerable saves, T4, in your face. Like, that army has no choice but to try to dump everything in them to kill them. Most likely they can't deal with that. That's a lot of stuff to deal with in a single turn. There are some lists, but if you hit them enough with your shooting, with your combat of these guys, like you've made a big dent in their army. So amazing squad. I cannot wait to put them on the table and see them in action. So Raiders are pretty simple and easy, right? They benefit from the Cabal, the Black Heart, which means they're going to be advanced and charged on turn 1. I put a Shock Prow on 2 of them. Here's why. You can auto-advance them with 1 CP for 8 inches. That means they have a lot of movement. So they're going to move basically all the way into your opponent's face, and then they can charge after that. So yeah, that's just really, really good. All right, so I'm going to move. I'm going to auto-advance 8 inches. I'm in your face. I'm going to charge you. Now with the Shock Prows, I can spend 1 CP. So typically if I wanted to do this, if I felt like I needed to go and touch something, I would use one of these with guys in them, probably just like a Wracks squad or something like that. I don't think I would put a transport that has like the 10 super guys in it or anything like that. Maybe if I want to be, but like I think they'll die if they're that close. It's more just the annoyance factor. So you throw like 5 just base guys in it, you throw it up the board, and you charge. And you touch something, and you spend a CP, and for every enemy model that's within engagement range, these vehicles are big, right? Like they're solid size. So you touch that base all the way up to somebody, and now you measure from your base or your hole for engagement range, and everything that's within engagement range of that hole, you're rolling for. So you go into a 10-man, you go into 2 squads of 10, you're probably rolling in between 10 and 18 dice, depending on, how close they are together and how you can position yourself. And then on 4-ups, they're taking mortal wounds. So you throw that in there and you kill, let's just say 5 guys, even if you kill more than 5. If you throw this in there and you kill 5 guys out of a squad, like where you kill a whole squad of 5 guys, it's amazing. And now you have them tied up. Most likely they're not going to kill you. You got enough wounds. Don't charge something that's going to murder you in combat. Charge something that's not, that you just are going to poke and be annoying. Now they got to deal with you. Now you're in your face, they got to deal with you. And then if they deal with you and you're on an objective, hint, hint, charge something that's on an objective if you can. Then your Wracks come out and they might steal the objective from them. So, yeah, it transports 11 now. So, like, you could put characters in there too. You could put a squad of guys and characters, more of a threat potential depending on what you want to do. And then they're T6 instead of T5. Like, they're just more survivable. The 5-up invuln, love them. But yes, they're going to be transporting my characters, transporting my Incubi and my Wracks, and you have that threat potential of in your face, punch, punch, bam. Love it. Let's go over the strengths of this very specific army. The strengths are, there's a lot of MSU units. There's a lot, 3-mans, 5-mans that are fast and just run around the board. Throw them on objectives. You don't care if they die. A lot of chaff that's just coming at your end all the time. The mortal wound threat with the Hellions. There's tons of different ways to do mortal wounds. You got the strats on the shock prows. You've got the Homunculus. You've got the Succubuses. Relic. Just goes on and on, right? So mortal wounds that you wouldn't think is there, and you can build like a full mortal wound threatening army if you want to. You can go even more. The combat punch is just insane. You've got the Incubi, you've got Drazhar, you've got the Succubus, you've got the Archon who can fight twice with flat 2 damage. You've got 100 attacks from a Hellions. Like, when that strike comes at you, and if it comes at you full force, like, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. All the small abilities that can just literally change a game in an instant, right? So the 3 that stand out with this is turning off an aura. We talked about that. But being able to do that and the detriment that it can have on your enemy player is just insane, right? So boom, aura's off. Now I'm even stronger. Fighting twice. Drazar fighting twice is just so good. A lot of attacks. If you wanted to take something like Lilith or something too, you can fight twice with multiple characters. So, he can go in, he can punch, he can fight again and punch, and he can kill something all by himself. So very, very devastating to be able to fight twice like that. Makes him a huge threat. And then consolidating in any direction. So the Succubus being able to do this, like I said, you go in, you can move all the way around a unit and touch something. If you don't kill that full unit, you don't want them to punch you back. You can go out back into safety. There's a lot of things that you can do. The turn 1 threat potential, it's there, right? You've got the Mandrakes. You've got the shock prows. You can touch a lot of stuff turn 1. You can get into their backfield turn 1. You can mess with their head. Then you've got the Reavers who can, move super far. Then you've got, even if with the Reavers they were directly on their lines, you're still moving 18 inches. If you were on your lines, the deployments are 24 inches apart from each other. So it's like you have a 6-inch charge. And it could be +1 to charge if it's the first unit. So it's like you have a 5-inch charge. Like, yeah, Reavers can go touch stuff too. So like you have 2 squads of Reavers that can touch stuff. You have a vehicle that can touch stuff easy. You have 2 squads of Mandrakes that can touch stuff turn 1. You're not going to kill a ton of stuff with them, right? But you're going to touch a bunch of stuff and slow your opponent down, which is really good for your primary. And your secondary if you're going to deny them table quarters. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. As I talk through it, I'm realizing how good it actually is. And then there's a lot of multi-damage output. Tons of flat 2 damage for combat. You've got your D3 +3 for shooting. Only a couple shots like that, but it's enough. And then, you've got your flat 3 damage on the Incubi if you roll 6s. A lot of multi-damage. A lot for most armies to deal with. Very, very few armies can mitigate that. So it's a lot to deal with. Just the fast-paced nature of them, that's a huge strength. We know fast armies do very well. They can jump around the board. They can hide behind terrain a lot faster. They can just be annoying. Now, I like to say, hey, it's a negative that they don't have a better invuln, but everything has an invuln now, right? So everything has a 6-up invuln. So now you might stay alive faster. It improves to a 5-up on, turn 4, turn 3 for the Cabal. So that is really good, actually. Like, even if you did a bunch of Kabalites and they have invulns on turn 3, like, that's pretty crazy. You come out turn 3 with a bunch of guys and play a little slower turn 1, turn 2. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I compare them to, Harlequins a lot, where they have the 4-up invuln base, but being able to take cheaper units that do have is very, very strong. And their weaknesses. So there's not a lot of shooting in this list particularly. You can bring a lot of shooting with like liquefiers and with the new haywire stuff. You've got the new heat lance rules. You got more dark lances you can bring. This list is not meant to have a lot of shooting. So you can definitely make lists around that. We will do an example of one of those in the coming weeks. But this is definitely a weakness for them. So larger models and units. The reason that that's a weakness is because everything's in the Raiders. The Raiders are not the easiest to hide. You've got to have bigger pieces of terrain. If they have long guns, they might be able to see them and they might be able to kill your Raiders. If before they can get into position to strike. So you got to be very, very careful on where you're placing those, how far away do you have to be. You've got to plan your movements when you're deploying very, very carefully. And then like a 20-man Helion squad, like that's not easy to hide either. So hiding your units and being safe is kind of hard. Now you do have the fast movement, but that's where like turn 1 movement becomes really good and striking on turn 2. So you don't have to think that you have to be all up on the line in everyone's face with this army. It can be CP hungry. We talked about the CPs with, the vehicles. We talked about the CP strats with the Helions and everything like that. So it's going to happen, but I think after 2 turns of like doing your stratagems, I think you're in a pretty good spot. Like if you do the Helion flyover and you buff their combat drugs and you charge with the vehicles, right, you're talking what? A 6 CP spend out of your 7 that you're starting with, but then you're going to gain 1, so like you still have 2 sitting in your back pocket. That's not bad. That's not bad. And they're very, very susceptible to a high volume of shooting. Like they're a glass cannon. They're going to hit you hard, but they're going to die super easy. Now the Helions with the 4-up invuln is amazing, right? And make the Reavers T5, and so like certain things help. T6 now with the vehicles. But they're going to suffer to Meltas, right? Like you fail a Melta save, and your vehicle might just go bye-bye. So there's a lot of things like that where Eradicators and Meltas and stuff, you got to make sure you outrange them. And because you can move faster than all of them, there's really no reason to ever be in their threat range until you are ready for your vehicle to die. All right, so the playstyle, we've been talking about this as we've been going, but I want to give you just kind of the quick summary of the playstyle. So this list plays fast and in your face, right? The Raiders are going to come up the board and they're going to charge you turn 1. Like 1 of them, 2 of them, whatever I need to touch you, it's going to go do it. Like like I said, you got the Mandrakes, you got the Reavers, and you have the transports that can all advance and charge turn 1. So like I can touch you with everything if I really want to, if you're close enough to your deployment zone. So if you really want to do that, you can do that. If not, then you're basically running everything up as far as you can, being safe behind cover, and then turn 2, it is go time. Everything's coming out of boats. You are punching, you are flying over, you are doing mortal wounds, everything like that. It is a very much, I want everything of close combat to hit you at one time and just delete as much out of your army as I can. And then I'm going to benefit from my invuln saves after that. Tons of throwaway units, right? Like you've got these Wracks that come out and they just jump on an objective. They might die, they might live, but I don't care. I'm just going to throw them on objectives. I'm going to steal them from my opponent's primary and everything like that. I'm going to go along my merry way with killing stuff. Because then you got to deal with that small unit of 5 Wracks on the objective. And while you're dealing with them, you're getting punched by everything else. So, yeah, that's how it plays. It can also play very cagey. You want to play passive and you want to wait for the right moment to strike, you can. So if you don't want to be aggressive in turn 1, but the threat is there. Remember, it's the threat of the turn 1 and turn 2 strike and charge. But you can play passive. You can sit behind these buildings. You can be like, all right, let them all come to the mid board and then just kill everything. Like, this is a alpha kill out of boats army. Just wait for the right moment. You don't have to rush into it. You have other units like the Reavers and the Mandrakes and small unit of Wracks that you can be throwing out there and just being annoying for a couple turns. And then you can be like, okay, it's go time. Boom. Like, you just wait for your moment and just go. Now, when you wait for that moment, you just go. You are committed. That is the key word here. Like, you have to commit everything, hit hard, and make sure it's at the right time. If you do this at the wrong time and you only pick up 5 guys, but not all your army's out of your boats, and you don't have inbones or anything like that, like, you made a really, really bad play. You've got to make sure that you commit at the right time and you hit them hard. All right, missions and secondaries. We're getting towards the final things here. So the secondaries that I typically would take with this army are going to be deploy scramblers, engage on all fronts, herd the prey, domination, or take them alive. So deploy scramblers is kind of like a no-brainer for me. It's an easy just secondary to always take. Engage is really good for this army. You pretty much are guaranteed it the whole game. I don't think that they can really deny you it if you play it correctly. Herd the Prey is their new secondary, which is really cool because you can deny your opponent from being in table quarters, and you get 2 points for every table quarter they're not in. So you can basically be like, hey, these 2 table quarters are mine. If you do that for 3 turns, you know, you're at 12 points already. So like getting 15 points on Herd the Prey against some armies might be very, very easy. If it's like a slow melee army, like if it's like, you know, Death Guard or something like that, you can just kill them out of table quarters. And it depends on if you need to be aggressive or if you don't, right? Like if you want to be a little bit more cagey, it's gonna be really good for like the shooting styles of these lists, where you can sit back, you can shoot, just say, hey, stay out of these 2 table quarters. I don't want to go get engaged. I don't want to get deploy. I just want to sit there and shoot you. Domination. There's certain objectives depending on how, or certain missions depending on how many objectives there are. That domination is really, really good. Like sweep and clear, where there's 5 objectives, you just keep throwing an obsec unit in the middle of the board and you kill them off of it every single turn and just sit there and win the game because you get domination and you get primaries. So take them alive. This one's interesting. So you get points for killing characters, but you also get points for killing other units, but it's only in melee. So because this is a very melee focused army, it's going to basically happen naturally. So if there isn't another objective that is good for you to take, like assassinate or bring them down, which like this army is not going to do that good against bring them down. So, you know, taking that might not be the worst. Like, you're going to have all these characters punching in combat. You're going to have the Hellions punching in combat. You're going to have the Incubi punching in combat. So, you know, how much stuff can you kill? And if they have a lot of units, especially, that's a good one to take because you can rack up a lot of points. You know, you might rack up 5 to 10 points in a single turn off on that turn that you strike, and you might feel very good then because, hey, I got 10 points. Like, imagine if you strike and you kill 2 characters in combat, you know, and like 2 squads, 8 points right there. That's crazy. Or you just charge in and you kill a bunch of squads. So yeah, I think that those are kind of what I would lean towards. So there is alternatives, obviously, within this list that you can trade some stuff out depending on what you really want. So Ravengers are really, really good. We're going to see them in the list that I do that's more around shooting. They've got the high damage output of the D3+3. They move just as fast. They've got the native 5-up invuln against shooting. So they're very, very good. Their guns are amazing. They will be able to reroll a single hit with, you know, Cabal the Black Heart. So somewhat reliable, but no wounds. If they are hitting on 4s for any reason, the reliability just starts to go down the drain a little bit. So you're hitting with 2 usually, but maybe sometimes only 1. And then do you get the wound through on those? That's my problem with them. But I think they do have a place in a lot of lists. They don't have a place in this list because they take away too much from combat punch threat and the MSU style. So if you do really like them though, I think you can go with like less transports. You could go less MSU. You might lose 1 squad of Mandrakes or something like that, and you can start to fit, 2 or 3 of these guys in there. And then Scourges. Scourges are really, really cool. So like they deep strike, they're infantry, they move really fast, so they're gonna be really good for engage. They're gonna be really good for deploy scramblers in the opponent's deployment zone and everything like that. Their shooting is typically 18 inches. They've got really 2 gun options that I would say I would only pick. I would take the Shredders and do D6 shots, but not high AP, but they're assault, right? So like you can move in advance and shoot with them. You could come down from deep strike and put a lot of shots into something. But the outcome of what you're going to actually do for that is not a ton. So like that's like, hey, kill this chaff off of a back objective and sit there and get deploy scramblers maybe. But then with their higher output with the heat lances, the D6 plus 2 damage, it's an 18-inch melta shot, which is amazing. You come out in from deep strike and you throw 4 of those with a squad of these at something, like that's super crazy. But they're gonna be hitting on 4s with no rerolls basically, unless you drop down by the Archon, then you reroll 1s. So yeah, they're not gonna do that great most of the time. If you run 15 of them and you want to put 300 points into them, and they come down and you do reroll 1s, but you're hitting on 4s, I mean, yeah, you're gonna do some damage, right? Like against a vehicle, like you're probably gonna kill that vehicle. It's not gonna be good against like infantry stuff because you're not gonna hit enough. But against vehicles, maybe don't have invulns, could be really, really good deep striking threat potential. Yeah. So that does it for Drukhari and everything. I appreciate everybody watching this army builder video. I know that was basically an hour that we just walked through right there. So I'm going to be doing several other lists like this for Drukhari. Obviously, all the guys on the team can do this for other factions. If there's a certain faction you want to see, let us know. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything or messed any of the rules up. Hopefully I got it all right for you guys and I brought some insight to you on what we're going to be seeing with Drukhari as they kind of learn the codex and everything.